Hello, hola, bonjour. Tune in every Tuesday to the Dear God podcast.
¿Y qué pasó?
Nah, we talking like it's 1995. Let go of that Wi-Fi. Let's laugh and cry, but never say goodbye. Primos y primas, que lo que, and welcome, bienvenidos to the Dear God, Are We There Yet? The podcast con tu prima favorita. Soy Alicia Sanchez, and yes, this podcast is bilingual. Ahora, Dear God, in this context, for my movement and anyone new listening, is whatever or whoever you want it to be. It could be the universe, religious God, Buddha, self, nature, lo que sea para ti. Dear God, Are We There Yet? Is a lifestyle community of question seekers. The goal is simple: to empower thought-provoking conversation, share happiness, and encourage each of us to never stop asking questions and having conversations that matter. The power of helping people help people with one conversation at a time. And you're probably asking, oh, why? Because we need it. Our friends and families need it, and the world needs it. Ya tu sabes. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel where I talk about self-growth, budgets, and business, and passion to empower. Now, let's talk like it's 1995. I'm so excited, you guys, because I have someone very special for you. And special in the sense that, I mean, he's an author, he's a speaker, and I'm going to let him speak, but he recently, and which was so awesome how the universe works, that he was recently on Mind Valley podcast with Vishen Lakhani. So if you guys check out that podcast, I love Mind Valley podcast. But he is also the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul and this amazing new book, which is, and I'm going to let him introduce him. Martin, go ahead and let them know about your new book.
Thank you, Alicia. My Spanish is not very good. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
No te
I can do
preocupes.
it. I can do it in French or German, but not in Spanish. I'm sorry, or Portuguese maybe.
Oh, tu parles français. That's good.
Oui, vous parlez français aussi.
Non, je parle français un peu. Je comprends.
You can do the entire in French.
I know, right?
So
tell us about your amazing new book and this amazing 3 questions of Project Heaven on Earth.
Yeah, let me just give you a little context about me and then how I got it.
Yeah.
So the book is called Project Heaven on Earth, the 3 simple questions that will help you change the world easily. So I'm a management consultant. I've spoken four times at the Harvard Business School. In the U.S., I've had such clients as Sony Pictures, Southern California Edison, Merrill Dow Consumer Pharmaceuticals. And as you said in the intro, I'm a co-author of the New York Times business best-selling book, Chicken for the Soul at Work. So I was thinking one day, I'm really not happy with the way the world is going. We've got a lot of pretty serious issues, the refugee issue, political instability in the U.S., in Britain, and in France now. The UN has just said, that there's, I've forgotten how many, but like hundreds of species in trouble, facing extinction. And about 20 years ago, I began to look at all these issues, and I said, we've got to do something about it. We need a new vision for humanity. And then this thought, Alicia, popped into my head. Oh, you mean heaven on earth? And exactly. My first thought was, you can't say that. No, you can't say heaven on earth. I mean, people are going to think you're nuts. It's impossible. We've never had it. You're an idealist. But the thought kept sticking in my mind. And I thought, look, it's okay to talk about hell on earth, isn't it? Then why can't we talk about what we do want? Why can't we talk about heaven on earth? And so that began this inquiry for me into, well, what is it? Because I didn't have a definition. This is heaven on earth, and you've got to buy my definition. No, rather what I would do is I'd go to people and say, what's heaven on earth for you? What's heaven on earth for you? And so I did that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I began to see these patterns in the answers. And I began to distill it down to 3 questions that I think help people get at what heaven on earth is for them, and more importantly, what they can do to begin bringing it about. So let me just stop there. because then I want to go into the questions with you. But
yeah.
So here's the questions. And what I'd like to do with you, I wouldn't even set this up, but would you be willing to have me ask you the questions and you answer them right now?
Oh my God. Yeah, sure. Okay.
People can hear that we did not set this up.
No, exactly.
So the first question, recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. What was going on?
Wow. I was helping people. I was physically helping people. I think I was in Dominican Republic with a doctor, and he used to do surgery for kids that have, like, I think it's called their cleft palates, I think, or something like that. And I used to volunteer and help him. And I just felt it such like, oh my God, these people, they smiling. I would translate and just helping them with the simplest thing, like a hug or writing something like that. I would have to say that.
Very clear. All right, let's go into the second question. I'm going to go over this after we've done them all. Second question. Here's a magic wand. All right, imagine you have a magic wand, and with it, you can have heaven on earth. What's heaven on earth for you?
Oh my God. I live in a utopia in my brain, though. So for me, I think I would say resources. I think resources for children. I don't know, like, I don't know. I live in a utopia, Martin. In my head, I feel like everything in the world might not be realistic sometimes, but I guess it would have to go back to resources. A type of resource to help people, especially with mental health, with children with poverty, on an international scale, not just in the U.S., but I think more resources, more people to give time. And that's what I would do, more time, because time is so valuable in my mind.
Very clear. And then the third question, what simple, easy, concrete step will you take in the next 24 hours to have more of that?
Wow. I think this is a sign, because I need to, I've been thinking about doing something nonprofit wise, and I think I need to just do something in handwriting, like just start writing something. I guess in the next 24 hours is just writing just stuff, just a list of things. It doesn't have to be in order. I don't even know if that's the right answer, but
no, it is the right answer because it's your answer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No. See, I'm not telling you. So let me just go through the three questions again. And then if people want to see these questions, they can go to my website, projectheavenonearth.com, and sign up for the free course, as you mentioned, and you'll get the three questions. So question one, recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. What was going on? And you went right to it, Alyssa. The time that I was helping the doctor fix children's cleft palates in the Dominican Republic, giving them a hug, just helping. What you did is you instantly answered the question. But what you didn't do, which is really interesting, you didn't say, Martin, what do you mean by heaven on earth?
I see what you mean. Okay.
Nobody asks me that question. People do what you did, which is they answer the question. So how can you answer that question without having what I call the already knowing within you, the already knowing about what heaven on earth is? So when I asked you, moment. Yeah, that moment, you went right to it. You knew people have had an experience of heaven on earth. So that's question one. Question two, then, expanding that, here's a magic wand, and with it you can have heaven on earth. The reason for the magic wand is to remove the necessity of having to know how. And if you don't have to know how, you can just go purely and deeply into the what, which you did, right? Resources for children to help them, help alleviate poverty, do this internationally, and also have more time to do that. So again, you went right to the answer. That happens consistently. I mean, when I do a seminar, a workshop, and I ask that second question, people go bang right to it. Now the answers are different, right? It could be,
of course,
right, but they know. And when you hear other people speaking about what heaven on earth is for them, it just so deepens it within you. And then we move to the third question, which is, what simple, easy actions will you take in the next 24 hours? Because I don't want you just to leave it at, this is what heaven on earth is for me. I want you to engage with it. So when you said, I'm going to write something. And then you said, is that the right answer? And the answer is yes, it's the right answer, because that writing that you're going to do within the next 24 hours is, if you say so, your contribution to heaven on earth.
So I want to reiterate something just because for our listeners and stuff. La pregunta que Martin está haciendo es para provocar una emoción que tenemos. La felicidad es algo que no es constantemente algo. La felicidad es algo que uno dice, estoy feliz hoy, y mañana dice, bueno, algo pasó, pero no necesariamente es que tú no estás feliz. Es una emoción. And so for number one, it's really about the distinguishing that moment of that, how you feel, that emotion. And it's so funny that you said, you're right, we're not questioning you, what is heaven on earth? Because we're automatically associating heaven on earth with something glorious, happiness, a moment of peace, or a moment of something positive per se. Yeah. So it's funny how we, as a brain, the human brain, you don't have to tell us what the definition of heaven on earth is, because we all have our different definitions of heaven on earth. We all have that moment or that time, and they can change, because if you ask me one heaven on earth, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, there are so many, right, Martin? But I love how these steps go from the emotion to number two, to removing the knowing to the how, porque cada vez you don't have to remember like como, how. And then number three is action. What do you feel, Martin, when you wrote this, and I encourage everyone to go on projectheavenonearth.com and look at / the 3 questions, and I'll actually put the link on the below. But Martin, what would you say to people who might be struggling or to understand this concept, and maybe they might not have something positive in their mind right away, or they might think like, happiness isn't constant all the time, so how could I really do this? Like, what would you say to those people who want to try but not really, they really don't understand? Like, what would you say to them? And I'm not going to say that they're negative or anything. It's different to them. It's something different.
And I think you have it exactly. It is something different. It's something that we've not thought about before, even as a possibility, never mind a reality. And I'm saying, given the state of the world today, we need to do that. We need to step up and say, okay, if I had a magic wand and I could have the kind of world that I want, this is what I want. And this is the tiny action that I'm going to take to start moving forward. Now, you don't even have to believe that it's possible. How about that?
Oh, I love that. Okay.
And here's why. Because people believe that you have to believe something's possible in order to do it. No. Many of us have seen ourselves and others do something or accomplish something, after which they say, I don't believe I did that. I don't believe I did that. It's because belief's not necessary. What's necessary is action, as you said, is doing. So I invite your listeners, answer the 3 questions, and then in the next 24 hours, take a tiny little step, something simple, something easy. Say, well, I can do that. That's the step I want you to take. And then what will happen when you take that step is you've begun.
Yeah, you already had it.
Exactly. Another step. If you go on projectheavenonearth.com, you look at our stories, you'll see I've got 63 examples. And there's many more, but I've got 63 examples of what people have done all over the world, from adding their definition of heaven on earth to the end of an email, to starting to collect a penny a day to help in violence against women, to taking on their country. There's a woman in Austria who said, Austria is a heaven on earth country. And I asked her, Alicia, I said, whoa, why do you say that? And she said, well, because it's simple. So I don't know what your simple is. Your job is to find out what heaven on earth is for you, discover what your simple is, and then begin doing that.
I love that. And I think that we are so conditioned. I know with Dear God, Are We There Yet? Sometimes we're so conditioned. It's like, you got to believe and you'll make it happen. And for certain things that might work, but for other things, I think that if we put too much attention to it, then we end up not doing it. And I think you said it, you hit it on the money. It is action. Action is the cause of doing or not doing. I mean, you have to do it. It's not having to do something huge and big. It can be one little thing. And that's how it all adds up, these little steps. And if it doesn't work out, then you do something else, little thing. So how often do you ask yourself these questions?
I'm in this I don't ask the questions every day, because what I'm doing every day is looking for leverage points in which I can move heaven on earth forward. So for example, this interview, and I'm doing another interview in a couple of hours, these interviews move it forward. They're my contribution today to moving it forward. Let me I want to go back to this example about you don't have to believe it. I was doing a webinar. There's a woman on, we're talking about the sufferings in the world. And she said, I'll tell you what's bothering me. Violence against women. I've been to the police. I've been to the government. Nothing. What would you do, Martin? I said, well, I mean, I don't know, Susan. I don't know your financial situation. You could donate a penny. You could donate $5,000. Well, what difference would a penny make? One of the other women on the call said, hey, wait a minute. What if everybody in your county donated a penny a day or more, but a penny a day to help end violence against women? And she went, oh my God. She went back to a group of women that she'd been meeting with. They started a program called Making Change, in which they handed out a little mason jar with a picture of a woman, half her face beaten up, the other half of her face bright, alive, with the light coming out. And they asked people to donate a penny a day or more. They raised $2,500 doing that. This was in Canada. They took it to a group within the Canadian government called Status of Women, who gave them, based on that result, $100,000 for each of the subsequent 3 years. So from this little, and notice what she did. She moved from, it's impossible, there's nothing I can do, to, well, I can do a penny a day. That's not a big deal.
That sounds like, reasonable, right?
Reasonable and doable, all the way up to $300,000. And now she says, wherever I go in the county, people's first question is, what can I do? So
I love that.
No idea the impact that you can have. I have a woman who's smiling in Mexico, who's smiling at 2 people a day. That's her contribution. A police officer who wrote a 16-page manual called Heaven on Earth for Law Enforcement. All of these ideas that are so creative. So I invite your listeners, ask and answer the 3 questions, and then start. Just start. Because what we're doing here, Alicia, excuse me, what we're doing is that heaven on earth is the new story of what it means to be a human and what it means to be humanity, what it means to be the individual and the collective. It's time for a new story. And you, the person listening, you're the one who's going to make it happen, help make it happen by the action you take today to move that forward. And you can do it. If this resonates with you, if this appeals with you, take an action today. Go on Amazon and look for Project Heaven on Earth and buy 3 copies. Don't buy 1, buy 3. 1 for you, 1 for somebody in your life right now who needs it, that you know, and 1 for somebody who's going to come into your life that will need it. Let's all start moving this forward.
I love it. I'm really behind communities like this that welcome change and welcome conversations, and sometimes even uncomfortable conversations, to even evaluate, to go back to these emotions. Because as I'm looking at my notes and the stories, it's very touching that it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what color you are, whatever, how old you are. These questions can be for everyone and anyone. And I want to thank you again for being on the podcast. Todo el mundo on the podcast, por favor, you must go on to his website. And I'm going to have all the information and a link to the book as well. But what's really cool is that Martin has a free e-course that you'll basically be getting emails for 7 days. And what's really cool is the email course is going to kind of break this down, and it's simply creating heaven on earth for like the next 7 days. And there's like really short lessons, and it's awesome to see a new perspective. And sometimes when we're doing the same thing and we're expecting different results, it doesn't make sense. So I want to thank you again, Martin, for being on the podcast, Dear God, Are We There Yet? Because that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And just answering this question, I'm like, all right, for the next 24 hours, I got to do this because my vision is that it's spreading these conversations and questions like your community and heaven and on earth. I want to leave everyone with this quote that you say, ask someone today what heaven on earth is for them. So muchísimas gracias. Merci, Martin. And until next time, you guys, remember, ask those questions and light and love. Have a good one. Thank you so much, Martin.
Thank you, Alicia.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.